All right, let's continue the conversation around this story then. Government saying it is considering laws to deal with deadly crashes on South Africa's roads. Let's speak now to Stephanie Fick, Advocate Stephanie Fick, and she is the Chief Legal Officer at the organization Undoing Tax Abuse. Advocate Fick, thank you very much for your time. You've heard the Transport Minister there that one of the considerations is moving cargo from roads to rail. Is that indeed in the offing, in your view?
Oh, yes. I think any measures we can apply that will reduce the carnage on our roads is obviously a good idea. You know, one just needs, at this point, what you want to scream is, but can we implement this now? You know, let's stop talking about it and implement it. We all know the Transnet was devastated by state capture. I do not know how many of our rails are still in use. There's vandalism. But I agree wholeheartedly with the Minister. The sooner we can get some of the trucks, some of the transport industry, off our roads and onto rail, the better. But I'm afraid that we've heard this before. You know, every time that there's a major accident, we talk about it. It's time that these good ideas are implemented so that we can really start reducing the number of fatalities on our roads.
Well, you've said it, Stephanie, and that is that the Minister of Transport, I'm trying to be fair to him, but he does have the propensity to overpromise and underdeliver. The e-tolls, it would appear, we've only seen movement with the new Gauteng Premier pressing hard on this issue to be resolved. We don't know what the motive is. Could it be 2024, which is the elections that are upon us? We're not sure. But the point is that Fikile Mbalula has the propensity of making promises and under-delivering. But is that fair to him, though? Because there is another minister that's in charge of Transnet, and that's Pravin Gordhan. Is that perhaps where we should be knocking to say, fix the rails?
Let me put it this way. Let's not be unfair to any minister. All we are asking, I think, all we as, motorists and the public out there wanting to reduce the carnage on our roads is take politics out of this, fix the department, and please use the money you receive, use the taxpayers' money that is supposed to be allocated to fixing our railroads, making sure that everything runs properly. Use that to the benefit of the people on the road, to reduce road carnage, but also, how many people per day struggle because it's unsafe on trains? That is stuck. They can't get to work because the trains aren't working. It is high time that ministers, whoever you are, take responsibility in making sure that your department performs. And may I add, it's also time that Parliament hold to account the executive, whoever you are, by saying, we are dealing with your budgets, we look at your annual plan, you make certain promises, but you know what, you didn't fulfill your promise, and therefore we're going to hold you to account. Maybe next year you are no longer the minister. Let's give someone else a chance that may be able to fix it. Yes, I know I make it sound, simple. And it's probably not that simple, but it is time. What is simple is accountability and implementation. Yeah. And that is seriously lacking. Just in the transport sector, moving transport from roads to rail is but one. How often do we discuss corruption? How often do we discuss the fact that we need more visible policing? It does not help talking about lovely stuff, but we do not see it. Does it have to take carnage in order for us to discuss this every time? I think we need to start discussing how did we curb the next road death.
You speak about corruption, and you remind me of a conversation I had last month, and this was on the back of the accident which killed school children in the area of Pongola. What a tragedy that was. But here is what a representative of truck drivers told me last month, and that is that, number one, they are under immense pressure from their employers, who are the owners of these trucks, to get to a certain destination in record time. But second to that, that these trucks or these truck owners, they tell them that if you don't do as I say, perhaps you want to lose your job, because if you don't listen to me, do not think that you're going to get any joy speaking to any government minister, because some of them own trucks. So when do you think we are likely to get a solution if the allegation is made that ministers are just as involved in the trucking business?
Well, I think that is a serious concern. And these are the type of complaints that needs to be addressed by Parliament, holding the executive to account. But I have to say, I do feel sorry. This story sounds so familiar. Now, some truck drivers are driving like maniacs. They cause accidents, very serious accidents. And the same with the taxi industry. But exactly that same sort of rhetoric was, I listened to an interview someone had with a taxi driver. The same concern is that they do not have time to sleep. And I think that is the same problem with the taxi drivers. They are exhausted. They are, there's expected of them to drive, all hours of the day. And, when they then say that there's something wrong, for example, with a truck, they are shushed and saying, if you want a job. So what that tells us is that, government has got a lot to do. Government need to take responsibilities. And what comes to mind is just also our roads, potholes. I mean, local government is just slacking in maintaining our roads. And I think that's also a contributing factor. Yes, corruption. But the private sector needs to take responsibility. Come to the table and let's ensure, because it's not just your business. It is time that business realize that, yes, a profit margin is important. And with our current economic circumstances, it is important that we grow our economy, but not to the detriment of normal South Africans. Everybody needs to come to the table and find solutions, and we need to take hands. Otherwise, this is going to get more out of hand than it currently is.
Advocate Stephanie Fick, let's conclude the conversation there. She is with the organization Outer. It's a worrying situation.